Hi everyone, I am Chris, this is Simply Classic, and today we are going to do another American Stitchers pattern. We're almost done. I think we only have 2 left after this one. And today we're doing the iris. Now this bag has got some really cool pockets. It has some diagonal pockets on one exterior side, and then it has the straight pockets on the exterior of the other side. It's a fairly large bag. It is 10 inches tall, 14.5 inches wide. And it's got some really cool places for some decorative accents. So on the side of this bag, we're going to be putting some strap connectors. You can add all kinds of cool rivets and different things on there. So in the pattern, of course, she has tester photos, and they're always so inspirational. So check those out. This bag does have a center divider pocket with a zipper, so we'll be doing that again. And I've done a couple things ahead of time, just with straps and handles and stuff, went ahead and made those, but we'll go over all the pattern pieces. So let's do that right now. So for pattern pieces, we have a crossbody strap, which I've already done. We have 2 handles, which I have already done. Now in the pattern, she has 2 different options for handles. You can either attach it with grommets, or you can attach it with regular straps, connector straps. I'm going to use the regular connector strap method, but I have some special connectors that I had bought from Bringberry Design a long time ago, and you don't have to have strap connectors on your bag. These kind of screw onto the bag. So anyway, I just went ahead and made the handles no strap connectors because I'm going to attach them with these really cool ones. We do have side strap connectors, and this is for the crossbody strap. This is where Gail, we're going to attach these with rivets, and this is where you have an opportunity to put some really cool rivets or Chicago screws or whatever you may have on the side of the bag to dress it up. So all I did with this is turn these into the center and then top stitch down each side. So those are complete. All right, in addition, we have all these pattern pieces, and I am going to be putting the zippers in a little bit different than what Gail suggests in the pattern. So she uses fabric facing because she made her bag in fabric, probably a cotton canvas, and I'm doing mine in a faux. So I'm not going to be putting a facing on and turning the facing. We're just going to be cutting holes in the main part of the bag after we sew everything together. But she does have you cut some facing pieces, and that's piece A. So we went ahead and cut them. I'm not really sure exactly where I'm going to use them all yet, probably one on the inside, but I have them ready just in case I need them. We have a upper lining or a top facing piece, and we have 2 of those. We have our divider pocket piece, and cutting that out of this really pretty cashmere color linen, and I did put woven interfacing on the back. We have 4 pieces because we have a lining and a main and a lining and a main. And these are just rectangle pieces. We have our exterior panels. You need to cut these mirrored. So we have 2 left pieces and we have 2 right pieces. We're going to sew these together and go from there. You see you have little rectangles or squares cut out of each corner. That's just for our box corner. Now, in addition, pattern piece D, you're also going to cut 2 lining pieces. These are, you cut it on the fold, so these are full pieces, and there's a small little place where she says fold here on the pattern piece. That's to take the seam allowance out. So you're going to fold there to cut your lining pieces. And I do have woven views too on the back of those pieces. You're also going to use that to cut out your foam pieces. Now, one foam piece, as you can see on this pattern piece, there's 2 different zipper cutouts. So for one of your foam pieces, you're going to cut out this straight piece on both sides. So that's what this is. So you're going to have a pocket, you're going to have a zipper on each side, and we'll go over, of course, how to do all that. But the other one has got these angled pieces that you cut out. And that's going to be for the pockets on the either back side or front side, however you want to do it. And we're going to have, of course, pocket pieces that go into that. Now, I've not cut my main fabric out yet, the actual pieces. I want to sew it together first and then kind of use the foam to trace out where to cut those boxes so I know everything lines up. We have our concealed carry pocket panel. We're going to cut one of those. We're just using this waterproof canvas in gray color. This is the front panel, and then we have a back panel, and the back panel, again, waterproof canvas, and I also have a piece of foam that I'm going to be using on that. We have our front pocket zipper facings. Now again, this is if you want to either add a facing to the front, or if you want to use fabric, you'll be cutting these out of fabric. I have a couple pieces of faux, and I'm thinking I'm going to use this as an accent around that box that I cut out. We have 4 front pocket lining panels, and you need to cut these mirrored. So you have 2 lining pieces, or you have 4, but you have 2 going in one direction and 2 going in the other direction. And this is going to form the pockets for those angled pocket pieces. So you have 2 this way, 2 this way, so that right sides together, they all match up. Woven fuse 2 on the back of that. We have our interior zipper pockets, and that is just, of course, out of the lining. Woven fuse 2 on the back of those. Those are just rectangles. We have our bottom stabilizer piece, and then we have our bottom overlay piece. So we're going to go ahead and get started on the side strap connectors, and then we'll get to moving on to putting the main part of that together. The first thing we're going to start with is the crossbody strap connectors. These are the connectors that go on the side of the bag. You're going to fold the long edges in, as I mentioned, and stitch down the long sides, 1/8 of an inch away. Then you're going to take your D-rings and you're going to fold this over. We're going to use some double-sided tape to hold it down. And Gail gives you a measurement in the pattern as to how far to fold that over. So I'm just going to put a piece of tape here and here as well. Make sure that tape does not go over the edges. This way. Okay, so I'm just going to fold these over. And then in the end, she also gives you a measurement as to how long these should be. Okay, so right now we're just going to fold that over, and then we're going to make some marks. So I want to make sure that these are the right length. Okay, now on the front side of this, we're going to take a ruler, and again, she tells you exactly how far down to measure. So, okay, what I'm going to do. And what we're doing right now is just making the marks for our rivets, so that when we go to put our rivets in, these will be done. So we're going to make 2 marks, basically where the fairly close together, where the top is folded over, and then we're going to continue down. Let me see if I can get a different pen here that will make a little bit darker mark. Yeah. Okay, so you have 2 that are fairly close together. And again, it's within this folded edge, so that's going to hold everything down. And then from there, we measure down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more times. All right, so all together we have 2 close together, and then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more dots. Okay, so I'm going to do the same thing on this one. Go ahead and mark, and then we'll move to putting the back together. Once I made all my dots, I went ahead and punched my holes as well. So all my holes are already punched in, ready to go when we're ready to use these strap connectors. So our next step is going to be to put these fronts together. So I'm going to take a right and a left and clip them together. And you notice I have no foam or anything on these pieces just yet. All right, we're going to stitch, and the seam allowance is 1/2 inch. Okay, from here we're going to open up the seam allowance, and we're going to top stitch on both sides. I'm going to repeat the same exact process for the other side. So here we have both of our front pieces completed. I'm going to, or I also put double-sided tape on the back of each foam piece. And you see I use 1/8 of an inch around the zipper openings and just 1/2 inch around the rest of the bag. I did the same thing on this foam piece. Now it doesn't matter which foam piece you put on which side. That's irrelevant at this point as far as what you do. But you want to make sure when you place your foam, you're placing it roughly 1 inch from the top and about 1/2 inch from each side. So I'm just going to kind of make sure that that lines up, and I'm going to peel the backing off this tape. Go ahead and place this down. Now, if you have fusible foam, you can certainly fuse instead. Or you can use some heat and bond. think the foam works just fine, and it's quick. Or I'm sorry, I mean the tape, not the foam. All right, so once you get all the tape peeled off, there we go. So again, it's going to be about 1/2 inch from the sides, 1/2 inch from the bottom, and about 1 inch from the top. Okay, so from here you want to take your template piece for your zipper facing. And you're going to place it over where your foam is, okay? You want to draw out this box. Now, the reason why I'm telling you to do this is because the opening on the foam is wider than the opening for the zipper. So you want to use a color that you know is going to show up. Let me see if I can use this red on this black. And we want our opening to be 1/2 inch wide. So once I get one line drawn, let me see if I can use a ruler to get the other side. Okay, so from here, I'm going to take a craft knife and a cutting board and go ahead and cut this out. I'm also going to use a ruler to help me do that. Now, I'd like to actually cut this out from the right side. I think what I'm going to do is just kind of peel this back. It's going to make it a little easier. And then go ahead and cut it out. So by using a craft knife, you can get exact because you can take the point of it and put it right against the intersecting line. One side, and you really do want to try to cut this so that when you're cutting on the part that you're cutting away. That makes sense. You're cutting on the side that you're cutting away, so that way you don't have to worry about if you slip a little bit, you're not going to cut into your bag. tiny little bit left. I'm just going to clip that with scissors. Okay, so once I have that, I can go ahead and replace the foam. And now you can see how the foam is slightly larger than, and looks like I might have to cut my foam back up here a little bit, but it's slightly larger than the hole. Okay, so I'm going to use the same template piece to cut out this one. And then on the other side, I'm going to go ahead and place my foam, doing the same thing, keeping it about 1 inch from the top. And there's another template piece that you're going to use to go ahead and draw out your lines and cut your holes here for these pockets. Okay, so we're going to do all that and then we'll come back. I have all my holes cut, so I have my 2 angled and my 2 conceal carry. I'm going to put both of these aside for just a minute, and we're going to start on our angled pockets. Now, I'm doing this a little bit different than what Gail suggests, just because this is the way I'm comfortable doing zipper pockets. If you've got your own way, be sure to use whatever works best for you. So we have, they're mirrored, okay? So basically we have these 2 sets, and if you angle them together, you will see how they go together. So this pocket will fold down, or this will fold down and, you know, form that pocket, and this one will fold down and form that pocket. So I'm just going to line these up to make sure I put them together correctly. And then I'm going to take some of my number 5 tape, because the pocket openings are 1/2 inch, so the number 5 should be perfect for that. And I'm just going to cut off pieces for each. Okay, I'm going to use a little bit of double-sided tape. I'm going to put that on all of the angles. Okay, I'm going to peel the backing off one and take the tape and put the wrong side of the tape against the right side of the pocket. And I'm just going to make sure that it overhangs on both sides a little bit. Okay, so that's that pocket. I'm going to do one over here. And now we're going to stitch this on. Okay, from here, I'm going to make sure that my seam allowance is going towards my pocket, and I'm going to top stitch. Okay, now that that's done, we're going to take the other side of our pockets. Let me make sure I'm putting these in the right direction. So they're going to be right sides together. So this one goes with this pocket. This one goes with this one. And I'm going to line up, take the double-sided tape off, and line up the wrong side of the zipper on the other side with the right side of the pocket. I want to make sure my pockets are even. So the zipper is going to hit in a different place, but you want to make sure that this is lined up, and then you'll be good to go, your sides of your pockets. Okay, so we're going to stitch this on. And then one more time, we're going to open this up and top stitch. So your pockets are going to form these little angles. Okay, go ahead and put your zipper pulls on. And now take some double-sided tape and put it right along the edge of the zipper tape. Okay, so now we have these two kind of funny looking pockets. When you put them in the bag, you want to make sure that let me turn this over and show you, that the bottom of the pocket's going down. Okay, so if you were to put this in this way, you'll see that your pocket's going sideways. So we want to make sure that the pocket is going down. The other thing is, I actually think I want my zipper pulls going up, not down. Let's see how this one is. So that will go like that. This will go like this. So they're both going down right now. So I'm actually going to turn my zipper pulls around, put the zipper pulls on from this side. Okay, so we should be good now. So go ahead and peel the backing off your tape. And we're going to center the zipper in the hole. Now you do have foam here that you're contending with, so just make sure that you take that into consideration, because as you sew next to the foam, it's going to collapse a little bit, for lack of a better word. Okay, and then we'll get the other one in. You want to make sure you have enough room to stitch down the side of the pocket, so you might have to just kind of adjust for that as well. The zipper pulls keep wanting to stick to my tape. All right, so once we have them centered to our liking, we're going to stitch around this opening. Now, see how your foam is shorter or smaller than your hole. So as you stitch, you're going to kind of be stitching down here. And you just need to kind of make sure that you take your time with it, because it could cause you to go off of the faux and into the zipper. So I'm not going to back stitch. I'm just going to pull my thread through and tie them off. pull this thread through to the back. And then make sure I stop in the same hole I started. Go ahead and tie these threads off. And then we will take this pocket and fold it down and stitch the sides. So it looks like when you, because of the angle was a little different, my pockets are off some, you can see. So I'm just going to improvise with this. I can pull this back and stitch over here to get this pocket nice and straight. Let me get the other pocket on first. Or the other zipper in first, I should say. It still looks a little off to me, so I'm going to fiddle with this until I'm happy with it. So now that the pockets are sewn in, we're going to go ahead and sew the pockets together. So I've got quite a bit here that I can kind of finagle with. Go ahead and put a clip on here. And actually, before I even put a clip, I'm going to cut so that these are even and I can see what I'm going to be doing there. And the same thing with this one. I've got quite a bit extra on this side. So I'm pretty close to the edge here. Same thing here. I am cutting off this excess just so that I can see where I need to sew. And then whenever you do a pocket this way, you're always going to have extra at the bottom. I'm actually going to just cut that off. And now we're going to stitch around and close these pockets. And when you do that, you want to turn this around and stitch from the right side. Just kind of pull this back. and stitch down and around. I'm just going to get as close as I can here on this side. And I'm going to repeat with the other pocket. So now we have 2 pockets. And I'm going to have to do a little bit of hand stitching up here just to get this part closed, which I will do no problem. And then we will move on to the concealed carry pocket. And that's just because I did not cut my zippers quite long enough, and when I sewed the pocket on, the angles were a little bit different than the angle I thought that was here. So just as you're putting your pockets together on the zipper, go ahead and put them in the holes to kind of line them up and make sure you're putting that pocket on correctly at the right angle, and then I think you'll be fine with it. I did a couple hand stitches, you can't even tell, and these zippers are now closed, and if you don't tell, I won't either. Nobody will ever know the difference. Okay? So we're going to set that aside, and we're going to take and work with our concealed carry pocket. So you've got 2 pieces. You've got this front piece and you have the back piece. The back piece has a piece of foam as well. And the first thing we need to do is cut a 1/2 inch off the foam in all directions. So I'm just going to kind of estimate that. You can certainly take this to the table with a ruler and cut this off. Okay, we're going to take a little bit of double-sided tape and we're going to stick this on. Now, of course, if you have fusible foam, you can do that. I'm using some waterproof canvas. And so even if I had fusible foam, I probably would not fuse it. Probably just tape it on. And actually, a lot of times I sew these on. We're getting ready to sew some pieces of Velcro on here too, so that'll help hold it on. Now this pocket is almost square. It's not quite. So I'm going to write on the top of this top, or put a T, just so that I know what direction it goes in. And I'm going to just stick that right on. Okay, so now take your Velcro pieces. So this is the loop side of the Velcro, which is the soft side. And you can do one of 2 things. You can put Velcro on both pieces, or you can just put it on one. Let's put it on both this time. So we're going to find the center of these pocket pieces. And the Velcro I use is that sticky Velcro, sticky back Velcro. That likes to stick to everything. including me. So I'm going to find the center first. And then I'm going to put the Velcro about 2.5 inches up from the top, from the bottom center. So, and centered on here. So I have some 2-inch pieces. So I'm just going to put 2 of them together. And I'm going to do the same thing on this panel. I'm going to mark the center. We'll put the Velcro on. Now, if you do not want to make this a concealed carry pocket, you can just skip the Velcro altogether, which I do in a lot of my videos, depending on what I want to use the bag for. These exterior pockets, hidden pockets, and vertical pockets, and horizontal pockets are really nice to be able to store all sorts of things in. I actually used one while we traveled and put passports and things in it that I needed quick access to, but the zipper pocket was against my body, so it was really safe. So it was really, these bags can be used for anything. All right, we're going to sew these pockets on, or these Velcro pieces on. And then because there's 2 pieces, I'm going to also sew across the center here. See how we have that center seam? I'm just going to sew across each Velcro piece. And I might have just run out of bobbin. Nope. So that's one side done. We'll go ahead and do the other side. What it is the backing on this Velcro is making my needle a little sticky. So we have this part completed. So this is the top up here. All right, we're going to set these aside for just a second. I'm going to take our other piece and our zippers. And we're going to put some 1/8 of an inch double-sided tape on the zippers. We're also going to go ahead and put our zipper pulls on. Again, because we're not using facings, we're going to have to improvise a little bit as we do this. So we want to put the zippers in each of these holes. And we're actually going to sew the pockets to the zippers themselves. You've got, of course, 2 pockets here. You have the front and the back. Get the one that's narrower. Okay, so it's this one here. And we're going to actually sew this to the zipper because this is going to turn this way and be here in the center. Now this is the bottom, so I need to make sure that when I do this, I put it on correctly. So I'm going to put a little bit more double-sided tape on the zipper in the back. And put it on both zippers. These zipper pulls getting in my way today. Okay. So we want to sew the wrong side of the zipper to the right side of the pocket on both sides here. I'm going to make sure the bottom of the pocket is going towards the bottom of the bag. Make sure both of my pulls are going up. So go ahead and peel the backing off the tape. Lay the zipper on the pocket. And we're going to do the same thing on this one. Okay, so that's going to enable us to turn this. To open the pocket. So I'm just going to baste these zippers on. So we want to fold the seam allowance going towards the pocket, and we're going to top stitch. So I certainly should have waited to put the double-sided tape here on this side of the zipper. There was no need to put it on as early as I did. Let's see if I can take it off this side. We're going to put some on again in just a little bit, but no, it's not going to come off. All right, we're just going to leave it on there. I'm going to top stitch. So now this is what we have. We have the right side of our zippers with the wrong side of our pocket and vice versa. So we want to go ahead and set this in, and then we're going to end up sewing the other side of our pocket to this side of the zipper. So we want to put double-sided tape here on this side of the zipper now. I'm going to use 1/4 inch. So that we can set this on. And so now we're gonna, when we sew this in, we're only gonna be sewing one opening at a time, one side at a time. So you'll see what I mean here in just a second. And again, if you follow the pattern and you do the facings, you won't have to do all this. You'll be able to just sew the facing in. Basically what I'm talking about is like a fabric facing that you sew on the right side, and then you turn. You cut your fabric out and you turn. All right, let me see if I can do this on this side. If the zipper pulls get in my way, I'm going to pull them off and just worry about putting them on later. So I'm going to line up So we're going to sew just down the inside edge at this point. So I'm going to start here at the corner and sew up the inside edge and stop. I'll pull my threads through and tie them off in the back. so that's one side sewn here. I'll go ahead and adjust this side and sew this on. So I'm going to tie these threads off here in the back, and then we'll move on. From here, go ahead and peel the backing off the tape, off the tape from the front of the zipper. Make sure your zipper pull is in the opening, and then you're just going to make sure that your zipper is lined up in that hole. So I'm going to tape this down first and then turn it over and make sure I like the way it looks. And do the same thing with this side. This side needs a little adjustment right here. Okay. From here, you're going to take the other pocket piece. You're going to line it up on top of the zippers, and it doesn't have to match exactly to the zipper, okay? If it's hanging over the zipper a little bit, it is not a problem. I'm going to clip the bottom of this pocket to hold it in place in the top. Okay, so now from the right side, we're going to go ahead and finish stitching. So we're going to stitch across, down, and over, and tie our threads off. As we do that, we'll be catching the pocket in the back and the zipper. Then make sure you stop in the same hole you started, and we'll tie these threads off as well. Do the same thing on this side. So I'm going to tie these threads off, and you can see that our pocket is in. It's kind of like a little kangaroo pouch. And now we need to go ahead and close the pocket. So I'm going to just at the bottom here, get as close as I can to the zippers and just stitch all the way across and close this bottom. And now that the bottom is sewn, you see my top's a little bit big. Gail says to leave the top open for now, so I'm going to do that, but I'm going to trim it back. As you can see, it's getting into my seam allowance. And my zippers are up here as well, so I'm going to from this side, trim it just to kind of get it out of the way. All right, so from here, take your bottom and your top pieces, or your front and your back. We're going to put them together, the bottom. We're going to stitch, and then we're going to open the seam allowance and stitch on both sides. Now we're not going to see this top stitching because we're going to be putting our bottom piece on, but this will just help hold it flat. So you really can stitch it from the wrong side if you want, because you're not going to see it. So now that that's sewn together and we have this bottom seam secured down, we're going to take our bottom piece, which is this piece here, and we are going to put a bit of glue on that. Let me see if I can get that off. Okay, we're going to turn it over and we're going to mark from each long edge 1 inch. We're going to put some 1/2 inch double-sided tape right below the line. Below meaning between the line and the edge. And then we're going to peel the backing off the tape and fold this over. So this is going to give us a 1/2 inch seam allowance. right, we are going to center this on the bag. And we're going to stitch. So you can actually find the center here. We're going to put a little tape on here to hold it in place. And then we're going to top stitch this on. So we want to line up our center marks with our seam. And this is why it didn't matter what this top stitching looked like, because this is going to cover it. And my bottom piece is a little longer than it needs to be, so I'm just going to cut it off. Okay, and we're going to stitch. Kind of cut that crooked, so I'm going to cheat it this way just a little bit. All right, and just top stitch this on. Now, I've been using gray thread while I've been sewing on the gray. I'm actually going to switch this to black thread to sew on the this kind of gold, black, silver spheres that we have. So I'm going to change my thread and we'll come back. Changed my thread out, so we'll go ahead and top stitch this on. So now that that's on, we're going to flip this back over. We're going to take our stabilizer, which is our Decaville Heavy. You can fuse this on, or you can use some double-sided tape. We're going to put this on, and then we're going to put on our purse feet. All right, so we're going to center it right here. Now you can kind of see, obviously, where the outline of it's going to go. We're just going to cover those stitches. Just like that. And then we're going to mark for our feet. So we're going to mark 1 inch away from all sides of the decaville. And the intersecting points is where the feet are going to go. If you want to put feet here in the middle, you can do that as well. Let's see. So the middle should be right here. So we can put feet there as well. So depending on what kind of feet you use, obviously will depend on how you install these. I'm going to go ahead and put those in and then we'll move on. The feet are now installed, so we're going to take and line up the side seams. And we're going to stitch these using a 1/2 inch seam allowance. I'm going to put some tape on this seam allowance and open it up so that it will stay flat. Now that these side seams have double-sided tape and are laying flat, we're going to take our strap connectors. I went ahead and put the rivets on the bottom 5 on both of these. We still have these top 2 that are have nothing on them. So go ahead and we're going to lay them down. We want to put them 1 inch below the top. So the top of the connector is going to go 1 inch below the top of the bag. So I'm just going to use my ruler here and lay this down. Now, these strap connectors do not get attached all the way down. The only place they're going to be attached is here, and then in the bottom, they're going to get caught in the seam. What we don't want is to attach these connectors right on our side seam because our side seam is going to fall apart. So I'm just going to move them a hair over and then mark through the holes to make sure before I punch them that they're not going to punch through the stitches on the side of my bag. Okay, so I'm not sure if the camera's going to pick that up, but you can see they're just to the left of the bag, or of the seam. So let's go ahead and punch those holes. You don't have to kind of stand the bag up to do that. And you may also have to kind of fold the bag in to do it. Okay, I also want to take a piece of Decavil Heavy and punch a couple holes so that we can help secure this on the back side. We need to make sure the holes line up. Okay, so place the strap connector on. Go ahead and put your rivets in. Put them through your bag. And then we're going to put them through the Decavil. And actually, because I have this side seam here where it's going through, I think that's going to hold it. I think that's going to be plenty. I don't think I need the Decavil. Oops. Go ahead and put my caps on. And then you want to line up the bottom of the connector with the bottom of the bag. You're going to have extra here, and that's okay. But what you want to make sure of is that your bottom connector or your bottom rivet isn't going to get in this seam. So, let's see if I can peek through here. You see how close it is? I'm going to move it up a little bit because obviously we're going to do a 1/2 inch seam allowance. And the bottom should overlap about, let's see here, what she says. She doesn't give us a measurement. You just want to make sure it's not in there. So mine's going to extend, say, 1 inch. I think I might even make it a little less than that. So what's going to happen is the bottom half of this is going to kind of be bubbled out a little bit. I'm just going to put a clip right there. And then we're going to box our corner. And go ahead and clip all of this together. I'm going to take a peek on the inside just to make sure it all looks like it's centered. And then we're going to stitch this box corner. I'll go back and set the rivets in just a minute. So whenever I stitch this box corners, I always have the purse kind of standing up and then just push this down. And we're going to stitch a 1/2 inch seam allowance. Okay, I don't usually do this, but I am going to do a second row of stitching here. I just feel like we have a lot coming together, and I want to make sure my seam is reinforced. So I'm going to stitch about 1/8 of an inch away from that stitch. Okay, and then we're just going to cut this off. And then we're going to do the same thing with the other side. So I'll go ahead and finish this side over here, do the same thing, and I'll set my rivets, and then we turn the bag, and then we'll come back. I went ahead and set the rivets and finished sewing. And isn't that cute? This is what we have. Nice front pocket here. Nice bottom. All right, we're going to move on to the lining, and we're going to start with our zipper pocket. I already put my zipper onto the zipper pocket pieces, and we did this exactly the same way we did those little angled pockets. We put the wrong side of the zipper to the right side of the pocket, sewed, turned, and top stitched. We repeated for the other pocket. You end up with the wrong side of the pocket pieces and the right side of the zipper, and then of course the back is the opposite. I'm going to take one of my lining pieces, I'm going to find the center, and I am going to use one of those overlay pieces. I'm going to find the center of this, and then we're going to come down from the top and center this overlay right on top of the zipper, or right on top of the piece here. So I usually just pinch this to find the approximate center. That pinch stays in there until we're ready to lay this down. Oh shoot. Okay, we're going to stitch around the outside of this zipper overlay. And I do have my black thread in because I'm stitching on the patterned faux. Tie these off, and then we're going to cut the center of this opening out. Make sure your zipper pull is installed on your zipper. I'm going to put some double-sided tape along the zipper tape right at the edge. peel the backing off of this. And then once again, we will center the zipper in the opening. My double-sided tape and my zipper holes are loving each other today. Okay, so we're going to center this in here. And then we're going to stitch around this small rectangle. Pull this thread through to the back. Tied it off, we'll just burn these edges down. And then we're going to drop the lining in because this bag has a divider. So I'm going to close this pocket. So whenever you do a pocket like this, you're always going to have extra at the bottom. And we'll go ahead and stitch. This gives us a nice big zipper pocket. If you have extra zipper, you can certainly just trim that off. And we certainly have enough space to put a slip pocket under here if you would like to do that. And we're going to put our zipper in at this point on the top. So I'm going to find the center here. And we need to measure in from each side. Miguel gives us a measurement there. I'm just going to make a mark. And that's basically where our zippers are going to start and stop. So here. Okay, so go ahead and get your zipper. And you can make a mark across if you'd like, but what we're going to do is just pinch and fold the zipper tape up to itself to form a little right angle. I'm going to take a pin and just stick a pin in that to hold it. And you just want to make sure that your zipper teeth are even here across the top. We're going to tack this in place. And I always like to have my zipper teeth going towards the back when I do this. And that's what that looks like. You got little tacks there along in the seam allowance along the edge of the tape. So we're going to start with the panel with the zipper because we want our zippers to close in the same direction, open and close in the same direction. We're going to take, and I have a lot of zipper tape here. Let me cut some of this off. We're going to put some double-sided tape between the two marks. Then we're going to take and place our zipper with the wrong side of the zipper against the right side of the lining. We're going to take the right angle because we want to make sure our zippers close in the same direction. So we're going to take this right angle and place it right against that mark. And match up our raw edges on our zipper. Now at this point you can pull your zippers apart. At the other mark, we're just going to take the zipper and turn it in at a right angle, right there at the mark. Okay, you see the mark right there, and we have that turned in at a right angle. Okay, and then here you can see that the zipper is right against the mark. You're going to take your upper lining, and you're going to place it right side down on top of the bag, on top of the lining here. I'm going to throw some clips on here. And we're going to stitch using a 1/4 inch seam allowance all the way across. Go ahead and cut off your extra zipper teeth, and you can hit that with a lighter just to make sure you don't have any problems. We're going to make sure the seam allowance stays going towards the top of the bag, and we're just going to fold this over, and then we're going to top stitch. upper lining was a little bit big. I'm just going to cut that off. Okay, and that's one side of the lining done. So we're going to repeat the process on the other side, starting by putting our zipper on, and then we'll sew our upper lining and then top stitch. Now I have both my zipper pieces on. I'm going to put this to the side. We're going to work on our divider pocket. Now on the divider pocket, Gail uses a number 3, like a dressmaker zipper. I have zipper by the yard, so I'm going to do it slightly different. We're going to take the number 3 zipper and we're going to do exactly the same thing that we just did with our zipper that's at the top of our bag. We're going to do a little right angle and tack this down. And we're going to put our zipper pull on. We're going to find the center of all of our pocket pieces, or 2 of them at least. Let's just say 2 of them. And then we don't want the zipper to go the full length. We want it to go about 1 inch away from each side. So I'm going to cut the zipper so that it is exactly 10 inches long. So at the 10-inch mark, I'm going to cut. From there, I'm going to take a piece of scrapped faux, put it right sides together with the zipper, and I'm going to stitch using a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Make sure your seam allowance is going towards the end, and then you're just going to take and fold that end right around your zipper, and we're going to top stitch. Cut off any extra you have on the back, and then even up the ends with the zipper. Okay, so from here we're going to take we'll find the center of your zipper first, and the center is going to be from the actual straight edge here, not the edges, not the turned edges, but the straight edge of the zipper. So you're going to line that up with your zipper end and find the center. And just put teeny tiny little triangles, just enough so you know where the center is. On the 2 pieces, or 1 piece that you found your center, go ahead and run some double-sided tape along the top. Remove the backing, and then take your zipper and line the center of the zipper up with your center mark on your pocket. And just lay that flat. All right, take some more double-sided tape, and one of the pocket pieces that you did not mark the center on, run some double-sided tape down the length of it. Peel the backing off the tape, and then just lay this right on top of the pocket piece so the zipper is sandwiched right in between. Make sure you line up the edges of this divider. all the way across. And now we're going to stitch using a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Go ahead and trim off any excess zipper. And then we are going to turn this so it's wrong sides together. And we're going to clip all the way around. All right, we're going to top stitch right along the edge of the zipper. If you want to press this, you can. I'm just going to kind of finger press it. So from here, we're going to put some double-sided tape along the other divider piece where you found the center, right along that edge. Remove the backing and then line the zipper up, centered on that edge. And I'm putting the right side of the zipper down. Okay, take your last divider piece. Going to put some double-sided tape along the top. Now, because my lining and all of this is the same fabric, it doesn't matter what's lining, what's top, bottom, and it's all the same. But if you have something that has a direction print, or you're using a different fabric for the interior of your divider pocket, then obviously you're going to have lining versus right side pieces. We're going to stitch using a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Go ahead and trim off the excess zipper. And we're going to turn fold wrong sides together. Put a couple clips. And then we're going to top stitch along the zipper's edge. from here, go ahead and put lining sides together, which in my case, I just want to make sure my zipper's on the top. The zipper pulls on the outside. We're going to match up the top edges, and then we're going to clip all the way around. We're going to go ahead and baste, and then we'll put all the lining pieces together. On this liner piece, we need to go ahead, or this divider piece, I should say, we're going to cut little 1/2 inch squares out of the edge, each bottom edge. Okay, and then our divider is completed. We have a nice, it's like a great big, huge pouch. We're gonna go ahead and attach this to our lining now. So take your side with your zipper pocket and your upper zipper. Of course, those are going in the same direction. We wanna make sure that this goes in the same direction as well. So we're gonna lay it on here so that all the pulls will be on the left-hand side. And we're going to line it up with the bottom of the bag. So the bottom of this pocket is going to the bottom here. Not the very bottom, but the bottom of the square. And then the sides matching up with the side. So the little square you cut out here, you can see you have the actual lining behind that, and that's okay. We're going to clip along the edge, and we're just going to baste this on this side. So now we're going to take this other side and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to pick it up and we're going to pull it over. We're going to match the side with the side, and we're going to match the bottom of the divider with the bottom of this square cutout. Take this part of the zipper and just clip it out of the way, and then we're going to baste. Okay, now we need to baste the bottom. So you need to find the center of the bottoms, if you hadn't done so already. I can see my center line from where the fabric was folded. So I'm going to take the bottom center and match it up with the bottom of the divider. And now when we stitch, we're going to stitch from the bottom of the divider to the bottom of the divider. Your lining is going to peek through behind the square you cut out, but you don't want to start at that end. You're just going to start at the divider. So here is half of our lining. We will box these corners. And I'm going to wait to do that. We'll do that afterwards, but you can see how that box is going to work right there. Okay, so now we need to attach the other side. We're going to do it exactly the same way. We're going to lay the side seams together. We want to make sure our upper linings match. And when we stitch, we're only going to stitch to the divider's bottom, not to the bottom of the bag. So you can see here how the divider is shorter. We just want to stitch to that point. We have our basting stitches here on this side, and we know where we stopped, so I'm going to stitch from that side. This time we're stitching with a 1/2 inch seam allowance. So now we're going to do the same thing over here. We're going to make sure our upper linings match. I'm going to get my zipper out of the way so I don't accidentally stitch that in anywhere. And again, we're going to stitch just to the bottom of the divider. Now in this case, I want to start at my upper lining because I want to make sure that matches. So I'm just going to, you can either mark or you can just feel with your fingers where that ends. Just put a little mark here so you can see. So I'm going to stitch to that point right there. And this is going to allow us to make our boxed corner. And again, we're using a 1/2 inch seam allowance. So I just stitched to that point. So I'm going to do this one more time with our bottom. I'm going to match my centers. And then I'm going to actually mark where the divider ends and begins, so I know not to stitch past that point in either direction. Okay, and when you do this, you want to make sure everything's out of the way. You don't want to accidentally stitch your lining together or to itself at the bottom. And again, we want to use a 1/2 inch seam allowance. So now we need to box our corners. Which are almost pretty much boxed for us. So you see here we have all of these edges are open and it's right around that divider. Okay. So we can stitch straight across. Usually what I'll do is try to nest these seams, meaning I have this side seam going in one direction and the bottom seam going in the other direction. Kind of open it up, lay it down, and then we can stitch straight across there. And then of course whenever I do this, I always push the bag up, lay this down, and then stitch across. Now, if this is difficult because of the bulkiness, you can actually do this in 2 separate stitches. So with that one there, I just went straight across, but the next one I'll stitch in 2 separate stitches so you can see how that would work. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to clip. And then we're going to clip this as well. So what I'm going to do is start from here, just stitch 2 where I left off at this stitch right here. And then I'm going to turn this around and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to start at the end and stitch to where I left off here. And that will give me the same effect. So there's 1/2 stitched, and see how I just stitched right directly to where I left off, right there. So we'll just do the same thing over here. So either method works just fine. Just do whatever you are comfortable with. And then we're just going to go ahead and trim that down. I am going to trim down the side seams. We have a lot of bulk there because of our divider. And the bottom seam as well. Now on the side seams, don't trim all the way to the very top. I usually just cut in right where the bulk starts and then come on down. This will just allow you to open up your side seam at the top and stitch across. It's going to be a lot easier to do it that way than if you have a tiny little seam trying to open it. Okay, so our lining is done. Look at how pretty that looks. Now, before we move on, I'm going to add my strap connectors to my main part of my bag. The strap connectors I'm using, it's just basically fancy hardware, so I did not make any strap connectors. And I'm going to just install them. Gil gives us some measurements in the pattern as to how far apart. I'm going to put those in so I don't forget. And then also I'm going to put some double-sided tape around the top of this bag because I'm going to do a drop-in lining. So I'm going to turn this over and top stitch the lining in the bag. Okay, so I'll do all that, then we'll come back. Okay, I put my strap connectors on and put double-sided tape around the top of both the lining and the main part of the bag, flipped it over 1/2 inch and clipped all the way around. So we're now going to stitch this together here at the cylinder arm, and then we will be just about done. I have gray thread in my top and black in my bobbin because my upper lining is the Spheres pattern. I'm going to go ahead and install the handles and put the crossbody strap on, and we'll take a look at the back. Here we are, another one complete. The Iris by American Stitchers. This is a really cool bag. It's amazing how sometimes as I'm making these bags, I think, I'm not sure about this bag, but it always comes out so good. So this one did not disappoint either. I love these strap connectors, how they're not connected down here, and it kind of gives a little extra flair to the bag. I think that's so cool. So of course, with the crossbody strap, we have handles if we prefer to carry it that way. These nifty, of course, strap connectors. Cool bottom. We have a kangaroo pouch here in the front that we went ahead and put Velcro on for a concealed carry pouch, but of course can be used for anything. It actually might even fit a like a Kindle or something there, something small. I don't know about an iPad. Looks a little small for an iPad, but you know, some kind of small handheld device would go great in there. It has foam on it on both sides, so you know it's nice and protected. We also have these cool pockets on this side just kind of little pockets for chapstick, keys, you know, whatever else you might want to store. We have a nice zipper pocket or zipper top. Keep everything safe. As you open it up, you have a divider in there with a zipper divider. So you've got lots of storage. Okay. We also have a zipper pocket here on this side, and then on this side we have nothing, but you could certainly add a slip pocket, sunglasses pocket, whatever you would like to have over there. This on this side is even large enough that you could put a slip pocket down below that zipper pocket as well. So I hope you enjoyed the tutorial. The Iris by American Stitchers. Not that different in construction to the Kelly tote that was the Kelly beverage tote that we did a few weeks ago. Very, very similar. I don't see a rating on the pattern. I think that I would say this is a intermediate bag. I don't know that I would say advanced. I mean, there is a lot of aspects to it. There's a lot of different pockets. So I would say maybe intermediate to advanced. I think that would be a fair assessment. So until next time, everybody, happy sewing.